coming up on today's podcast, we've got former England spinner and current Lightning Supremo, Kirstie Gordon. Now, we talked to Kirstie about all things cricket, including the Rachel Hayhoe-Flint Trophy, the Charlotte Edwards Cup, and the 100. We also talked to Kirstie about having to make the difficult decision to turn professional and having to give up her Scottish nationality in order to do so.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Kirstie. It's been quite a hectic season, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's been crazy, especially when you compare it to, I suppose, last season when we obviously barely got any cricket in, and we've had the county stuff, the Rachel Hayhoe-Flint, and now the Charlotte Edwards Cup, and so yeah, it's been full on. It's been great.
Have you been able to breathe much, or has it just been kind of like just non-stop?
Yeah, it's been it was all right. Like, it's quite slow to begin with, with the county stuff, and then since we've got into the thick of it in the regional stuff, it has been pretty full on. And like I told you the other day, like, me and Catherine have moved house, so it's just been manic. But I quite enjoy life when it's full on.
Yeah, because we just said you moving house. So who are you living with at the moment?
Dicey, just the two of us. We've moved into a little 2-bed, so it's quite nice to get some space, and we're just on the edge of Loughborough as well, which is nice.
Yeah, because I saw on your Instagram you cutting the grass or something, and the garden looked huge. You could probably have like a strip in there. To be fair, you don't need to come onto campus to train.
I know, it's decent, to be fair. I've got quite a big garden, so we'll get some barbecues at the back end of the summer, hopefully, after the 100.
Nice, yeah. So we're going to start off talking about Lightning at the moment. Obviously, it's been a bit of a tough season for you. It's been quite a mixed bag, I guess, because you've had some like high moments and didn't quite go to plan. I heard like the wicket was really slow at Leicester and it was quite a difficult match to play and everything. But you personally have had some really good performances. So what's your thoughts on the season so far? Obviously, we're halfway through both Rachel Hayhoe-Flint Trophy and the Charlotte Edwards Cup now. So tell us a little bit about your season in 2021.
Yeah, well, like you've hit the nail on the head there. It's been a real mixed bag, to be honest. We were in a decent spot in the Rachel Hayhoe-Flint competition. We're 2 from 4, which I think there's been quite a lot of mixed results. So it puts us kind of mid-table, and it means when we get back from the 100, obviously, I think that our big focus will be on that 50 over competition. Can we get a few more wins on the board and get our way to that finals day? And I think we're a really good 50 over team as well. People are very clear on the plans and their options in 50 over cricket. And I think I'd really back us to do well and see where we can get to in that competition. And on the flip side of that, obviously the T20 stuff, as you touched on then, like, it's been really difficult. We've not really played our best cricket, and that's what's quite disappointing. We're quite a young side, and I think that's great at times, but obviously we've probably shown our inexperience over the last few weeks. And yeah, like, it's tricky. You obviously want to win, and when you get in a run of losing, it can be quite difficult to get out with that. But the girls are such a great group at Lightning. Like, I absolutely love them. I love the camaraderie there and everything. So we stick around each other quite well, and I think that's good. And I think a bit of time away, like off to the 100, with a few of us at different teams and things. I think when we all come back together, we'll have a real good shot at getting some wins on the board, hopefully.
And for you personally, you've taken a couple of four-fours, one against Northwest Thunder and one against Vipers. Do you think this season in particular, by having more fixtures in the Hayhoe-Flint Trophy and having the regional T20 competition, it's helped you get into more of a rhythm bowling-wise?
Yeah, 100%. I think for me, game time is massive. I think that really affected me last season when, we had a couple of middle practices and then it was almost straight into the England bubble and the Lightning season. Yeah, for me, I just love game time. I love being out on the pitch, and that's where I can really improve the most, I suppose, as well. So yeah, I've loved having a lot of fixtures, and it's helped, like you say, bowl myself into a bit of rhythm and get a bit of confidence out there.
Yeah, because thinking about 2020 as well, obviously with COVID, and you were one of the England players with Tammy Beaumont to join Lightning, and I guess there's that added pressure as well for you. And you went quite quietly, I think, in terms of like you're really economical, but because you wasn't taking the wickets as regularly as you were this season, I guess it mounts a bit of pressure for you because you want to be that big name, I guess. So how did you find it?
To be honest, it was the first time in my career that I've really struggled, like cricket and performance wise. And yeah, I struggled within the England bubble to put any performances together. And I think that just mounted up on me when we came back into the regional environment. I exactly like you said, I felt as though, well, I'm an England player, I should be performing, I should be taking wickets, I should be leading the line. And, I was struggling within my own game, so putting that added pressure on myself. And yeah, it wasn't a good place to be, I suppose. And as you will have seen it. It negatively impacted my performances. I think that's probably the biggest difference to this season. Obviously, I don't have that pressure of being an England player anymore, but also I've told myself that, you know, when you don't enjoy cricket, you don't play well anyway. So you might as well enjoy yourself and get the most out of your training and your teammates. And yeah, it's had a really big impact on me on the pitch as well.
But you were still so economical as well, and like you can't take that away. Like just because you weren't getting those kind of wickets like you were previously, it doesn't mean your performances weren't good, because they still were good. It was just quite quiet, I think, and people sometimes forget that. Like it's such an important role that you play as well, especially with the balls. You know, you are building that pressure on the bat and creating those dot balls. You don't have to take like 4-fers, 5-fers every single match.
It's nice though, isn't it?
I'd say it would be lovely.
Yeah, no, exactly. I think you're right, exactly. When I look back now, I can definitely pick out some positives. At the time, unfortunately, you judge yourself on things like wickets, which, like you say, they're not always in your control. What is in my control is having that low economy rate and putting the batters under the pressure and things. And I think now I'll reflect much more objectively on that, rather than it purely focusing on wickets being the be all and end all.
And obviously, we know how much of an impact COVID has had on the world and the whole of 2020, which we're just going to ignore that it happened. 2020 didn't exist. For you as a player at Lightning, how has COVID impacted the way that you train?
Yeah, I think as much as probably most of the teams, we've been really lucky, to be honest. Obviously, we've had the NCPC through the winter, and then we're really lucky with the facilities at Loughborough with Hazelgrave and Brockington. So largely, we've been able to continue training through the most part. Obviously, got access to power-based gym as well. So we've been really fortunate. It obviously gets a bit frustrating at times having to dump your kit bags outside and all these little things, wearing your masks and distancing in the gym, wiping down all the equipment. But to be honest, compared to how a lot of people have had to be living, and I know a lot of other teams have even struggled with the facilities and things, we take it any day. We've been really lucky in that sense.
Yeah, definitely. You spoke about the camaraderie within the group as well. And obviously, we'll talk about the KSL in a bit, but it is kind of some of the older faces and some new faces. You've got like the likes of Michaela Kirk joining you, completely new name for a domestic circuit in England. So tell us a little bit more about the players who are playing for Lightning at the moment.
Yeah, so obviously, like you say, there's the likes of myself, the Bryces, Abby and Lucy, who have been part of Lightning and are probably kind of the senior faces, and Sonia obviously in there. But there's a lot of younger girls, a lot of new faces. Sophie Monroe's been outstanding for us. She showed that in the last game against Sparks. She's been around some of the KSL teams and things, but I think this is great for her. She's off to the 100 as well with London Spirit, and I think they'll have really noticed what she's been up to over the last few weeks, which I think is great. I better give a shout out to Sachi and Grace, Sachi Pye and Grace Bollinger. They're two of my little mates. They're just like bundle of laughs, them two. It's laugh a minute with them, which I think is great. They're big characters in the team, and like I love spending time with them, and they bring out the youthful side of me, which is good fun as well. Michaela Kirk, you touched on, she's brought a lot of energy to the group, because obviously coming over from South Africa, it's all very new for her, and she wants to make as big an impression as possible. So she's really driven the standards up in training. And the Grave twins, they've been brilliant, to be honest. They're very quiet girls, and in the last kind of 3-4 months, they've really come out their shell. And what they give to the team now is exceptional. And yeah, they're good fun to be around, and I think that's something that I wish we'd got to see more of early, but I'm glad we're getting to see the best of them now.
Yeah, I heard, because Teresa's been performing absolutely amazingly this season especially, but I've heard they're quite quiet, and we would love to get them on here to do some interviews, but I think you need to work a bit of magic on them first.
Oh, I'll have a word, because honestly, they're coming out of their shell, they're brilliant, and it's just a little subtle remarks they make every now and again. It has the whole team in stitches.
Just on the team, you are quite a young team. Do you think sometimes that helps in terms of bonding, getting that team unity, and perhaps when bowling, because you're all around the similar age, so you all sort of have the same experiences in a way?
Yeah, I think it definitely helps when we're around the group. We're very lucky in a sense that with Lightning, we're all mainly based in Loughborough. So we're kind of all around each other the whole time, whether that's going for coffees and things like that, or whether it's in the training environment. And I think, like you say, that's helped bring us close together, which has naturally impacted us in a positive way on the pitch. And I think, the fact we're young, I think has massive benefits in a sense of there's no fear within people. They want to go out and play their game, and people are always looking to learn and improve at every opportunity, which I think is massive, and it's a real strength of our group.
Yeah, because you kind of touched on it before as well about being more of a senior player, and it was coming across like you were feeling a little bit old. Surely you're not feeling that old because you're still early 20s, aren't you?
Yeah, well, I'm 23, but in Lightning, I think I'm the third oldest or fourth. Obviously, Sonia, bless her, is head and shoulders above the rest of us. And then Abby's a year above me, and then me and Lucy and Catherine are all 23. So yeah, I mean, not often I'm feeling old, but if they did youngies v oldies in a warm-up game, then I know which side I'd be on.
Oh, I love that. Well, hopefully you'll get some more senior players back as well, because I guess that's really nice to see that Sonia did come back this season, because she wasn't around in 2020, was she? So the fact that she's joined, you never know, you might get some return of some of the Notts girls, thinking like maybe Jodie Cook or people like that may come to Lightning perhaps in the future.
Yeah, you never know, and I think that's the beauty of domestic cricket, is you never know who's going to show up, who's out there, whether that's a young player or, like you say, somebody who's been around the circuit before. But Sonia's been brilliant. It's been great to have her back. Just her, level of expertise and her calmness on the pitch. Obviously, as you'll have seen in the games, like she's bowling, nearly a full quart of overs every game, and obviously bats in the top 5. So what she offers us is fantastic.
Previously, before this Rachel Hayhoe-Flint trophy, you were under the Loughborough Lightning umbrella. How difficult or how challenging has it been to distance yourself from the Loughborough brand and just be known as Lightning Cricket Team?
Yeah, I suppose because a lot of the stuff is the same, a lot of the staff are the same, a lot of the players are the same, and we're ultimately using the same facilities. I mean, a lot of people still call us Loughborough Lightning, and I know it gets on the management's nerves, but I don't think it's something we've thought about too much, to be honest, because we're still part of that Lightning family at Loughborough University. So although there's a name change, I wouldn't say there's been too many other changes.
Yeah, but I guess it's important to represent the whole of the East Midlands now, and there's that added responsibility, I guess. And you played for Nottingham in the past, haven't you? So what is it like when it comes to the counties that kind of feed into Lightning now? Is there much involvement? Do you get to go out into the communities much?
Yeah, I think that's something that will grow and develop as the kind of professionalism of the whole regional programme develops. Obviously, we've got the Lightning Academy, which is kind of the feeder to our squad, and all those girls play in the East Midlands, whether it's for Notts, Leicester, Derby, whoever. And I think that's really where the strength in depth will come from, is those feeders and that come through the county circuit and they feed up into the Lightning Academy and hopefully into the Lightning first team. But definitely I think that'll develop, and as the programme grows, we'll probably spend more time trying to get as many of these young girls into their Notts age groups, pathways and things like that, which will hopefully then feed it ultimately into Lightning.
And then just thinking as well about the KSL generally as well. So you made your debut, were you 20 when you made your debut for Loughborough Lightning?
Yeah.
Ish. Yeah. And you were around the squad for some time before that as well. So tell us about making your Lightning debut back in the Loughborough Lightning KSL days and what the KSL did for you as a player.
Yeah, I mean, I was around for a couple of years before I was signed, a combination of getting me kind of involved in the environment. And obviously, as I'm sure you know, the kind of Scotland, England rules and regs, which made it quite tricky to get involved early on. But when I finally made my debut, yeah, I remember you were there, Hannah. I remember that. It was pretty special. We were somewhere in Lancashire. I remember being really nervous, not knowing if I was going to play kind of in the lead up to it. I guess when you get signed as a local player and you've only ever really played county cricket, until you kind of establish yourself in that 11, I didn't really know which way the balance of the team was going to go. So I was, first of all, obviously delighted to get picked. And then I had a good debut. I think I took 2 wickets and it just settled me in. And from there, I kind of felt the world was my oyster a bit. And I think sometimes I wish I could get back to that kind of place I was in 2018, because not once did I think about playing for England or anything other than I just want to bowl today and I just want to do well today. That was all it ever was. And I played my best cricket of my life probably then. Just bowling, enjoying it, loving it, not thinking too much about anything. And yeah, it really set me up my whole career that first year in the KSL.
I read somewhere, so do correct me if I'm wrong, but it said that you were the leading wicket taker of the 2018 Kia Super League. I don't know if that is correct or not,
Yeah, it's correct.
but it kind of links to what you were saying previously, that in 2018 you felt like you were at your best. Is that why perhaps you think you got the wickets that you did, or did you just feel like because there wasn't that added pressure, of I've got to play for England, I've got to do this, I've got to do that, it kind of freed your mind to just go out there and have fun and take wickets?
I think a combination of those things, and also when you've kind of just played county cricket, I guess, in the lead up to the competition, opposition teams, for example, they may be they will be talking about the bowlers in the opposition team, and I probably wasn't spoken about that much in 2018. A, because people didn't know loads about me, and B, they potentially didn't see me as a key bowler coming into the competition. So I probably had that relative unknown factor on my side. And like you say, you've hit the nail on the head, coupled with the kind of freedom to express and to play without pressure. All I wanted to do was play for Loughborough Lightning, and there was nothing else in the forefront of my mind, which just allowed me, like I say, when I went out to bowl, all that was in my head was, how am I going to get the batter that's at the other end of the crease out?
Yeah, and that was a phenomenal year for you. It was kind of like a whirlwind, wasn't it, of just, so you've had to make that decision between Scotland and England, sign the papers. You've got a bit of a story about that, haven't you? Did it cost a fiver or something?
Yeah. I had to, it has to be like witnessed by a lawyer or something like that. So Rob Taylor came with me, and we went into some random solicitors in Loughborough, and he charged me a fiver to sign on this piece of paper. £5 to sign my nationality away. That's my joke.
It's crazy, isn't it? But in all seriousness as well, that decision must have been really, really tough, because you played for Scotland for years and years before that. You'd had reasonable success. And then, you've got this situation of, right, do I become a professional cricketer? But at that time, it was just for 6 weeks. It wasn't for a year-round programme. So it was a bit of a risk for you, wasn't it?
It was a huge risk. And sometimes I look back and I think, geez, like, that really was a risk. But yeah, I think the biggest thing for me was, would I look back in 2 years, 5 years at the end of my career and think, God, maybe what could I have achieved? What could I have done? Or would I look back and think, do you know what? I gave it a crack and maybe I wasn't good enough. And for me, that option was always the one I was going to pick. And yeah, like you say, it was a whirlwind to have such a good KSL and then get picked up by England on the back of that. And, even looking now, having, I've lost my England contract. I'm obviously still a professional cricketer, and I'm really lucky for that. But I wouldn't have changed any decisions I made, because at the time it was the exact right thing for me to do. And I've got some amazing memories because of that. And, hopefully it's not the end of my England career either.
Yeah, no, I'm sure it won't be. Yeah. So in 2018, you went to St. Lucia and Antigua off the back of the KSL performances and your county performances. And again, there, your debut, you got player of the match. So again, it was just going from strength to strength to strength, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. And it was all happened so quickly, again, at the World Cup. Obviously, there's pressure. You're playing for England, you're at a World Cup, but it didn't really sink in, to be honest, when I was there. And I was just playing again, a bit like the KSL, just kind of taking it in my stride and not really probably appreciating what I was doing. And there was massive pros to that, in the sense that, you don't feel the pressure as much, and I just played and had great success. But obviously, looking back, I probably think, oh, did I really appreciate what I was doing and where I was, and take those moments in? And I think that's something that, if I ever play for England again, I know I'll make sure I take in those moments that little bit more. And obviously it'll probably mean that little bit more as well.
And obviously we've touched a little bit on the fact that you did play for Scotland and then you switched allegiances to England. What are some of the differences you maybe perhaps have noticed playing for both sides, if there are any?
The biggest difference is just the professionalism within the England setup. Obviously, they've been fully professional since 2014, but I've obviously been helped to be funded since way before that as well. So, and the strength of the domestic circuit is huge in kind of providing that professionalism to the England team. A lot of the Scotland girls have huge natural talent and potential, but unfortunately when they're working 9 to 5 full-time jobs and they don't have the educational resources and the kind of time to put on task, I think, there are, unfortunately at the minute, they are parallels apart. But that's an area that I massively see Scotland improving in as they begin to become that little step more professional. I think they'll grow leaps and bounds in the coming years.
And then with your World Cup debut as well, it was tainted a little bit by the interview where they confused you with Sophia Dunkley, and you did so well. Like at that moment, my respect to you literally went up, because obviously I've seen you in the KSL, I've seen you do your media bits and stuff, and you're good, absolutely fine. But in that moment, I was like, oh my God, what a hero, because you kept your composure. You could have easily just been like, what are you chatting? Could have got a bit, I don't know how I would have responded to that moment, but tell us a little bit more. Tell Alex what was going on, because Alex didn't get to see it at that time. And yeah, it tainted the experience, I guess, a little bit.
Yeah, it did. It really did, to be honest. And it's something that to this day I've refused to ever watch back. Yeah, my biggest frustration was that would it have happened in a men's game? Absolutely not. The commentators and the presenters, etc. They would know who these players were, and I think that's my biggest frustration of the kind of event. But yeah, I don't really know how I kind of managed to answer it. I was just obviously shell-shocked, and I think I remember kind of looking around, and Henry, our media manager, was kind of stood just behind, and he was kind of filming, but because of the kind of noise in the stadium he couldn't hear, and I was kind of looking at him as if to be like, what on earth do I do here? But yeah, I just kind of answered the questions, and obviously was something like that to ever happen again, I probably would turn around to the poor fella and say, like, come on, that's not me, do you not know what you're doing here or something? But in that moment you just don't expect something like that to happen, you just kind of go with it. And he did apologise to me after, to be fair, and because I went on to get player of the match, I got interviewed again at the end by Isha, I think, who obviously knew who I was, and it was a much better interview. So thankfully it didn't ruin the experience too much.
Yeah, so basically the presenter live on TV as well, so there's no hiding at all, so that's that additional pressure on top, isn't it? Thought that Kirsty was Sophia Dunkley, was asking about the Surrey Stars, asking about batting and what she's going to bring to the batting lineup, and Kirsty was really polite and really well handled that situation, but you could see in your face, you're like, what on earth is going on? But I do not know how you kept your cool in this line.
Bearing in mind, me and Dunks we couldn't look more different for starters, but also our skill sets are very different as well. So it was, if he thought I was Lindsay Smith, it might have been less kind of, it would have been more forgiving, because we're both left-arm spinners, we've both been at Lightning. But to get me mixed up with Dunks, I was thinking, what is this guy on?
I feel like because women's cricket people are still trying to get their heads round it, that they don't research it well enough, if that makes sense. So they think, oh, they just get given a sheet of stats and someone's name, and they just automatically assume that, for instance, you were Sophia Dunkley, but like you said, you two could not look anything further from each other.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that's something that the women's game's got to improve on, like it does in other facets as well. And we've got some amazing female commentators and presenters, and not even just female, but people who are very good within the female game, like Mark Butcher, for example. And we need to keep utilising them. And just because there's big names out there who are really good in the men's commentating and in the men's game doesn't necessarily mean that they, get first dibs on our games. And I think, yeah, as the women's game grows and gets more professional and is more visible, I think that will improve. I think people, these mistakes won't be made again, because Sophia Dunkley's a household name, people know who she is, and I think we'll move away from that. I hope anyway.
Yeah, that's what I love about this regional competition now. People are becoming household names. They don't have to play for England, but you can be a household name, especially with 100 as well.
Yeah.
You're going to be like these match heroes, and really, the visibility of it is going to be so huge for the women's game. So like you say, hopefully it will be in people's consciousness now.
Yeah, exactly. And that's all we want really as female athletes, is to be given that same respect, I suppose, as men do.
Yeah, absolutely. And going back to the World Cup as well in 2018, I know there was a bit of disappointment because, you came runners up in the final. So you can't say you're a World Cup winner, but you can say you're a World Cup runner up. And that's still an amazing achievement. And I know in the moment it doesn't feel like it, but having, reflected on it now, does that still hold fond memories? And is that something that, you hold up your medal with pride?
Yeah, massively. I think, I've obviously not played many times for England. And in that sense, I have played at a World Cup, and that's a huge achievement. Like I said already, I want to play more for England. I want to be in another World Cup. But for now, I've got a World Cup silver medal, and, a lot of people can't say that. So, yeah, you're right. I've got to take pride in that. Obviously, looking back, that the whole competition has amazing memories. that final day hurts still, you know, just we didn't play good cricket and, you know, we didn't really put up a fight. So of course it still hurts. But like you say, I'm a World Cup finalist and not a lot of people can say that.
Yeah, I was just going to say you're still quite young, so there's still plenty of time for you to be an eventual World Cup winner. So
I
your
hope so one day.
your time on your side. But I just wanted to bring it to Scotland, shift it to Scotland slightly. We spoke to Abtaha, and she spoke to us about how she was 12 when she made her debut. You were sort of a similar age at 14. Is there a sense of pressure being that young to perform from the get-go, or do you just take it every ball or every moment?
Obviously, I remember being very nervous. At that age, of course, you're going to have a lot of nerves, but I don't think you realise, or I certainly didn't realise, the kind of magnitude of what I was getting involved in, I suppose, at that time. You know, when you're 14, like, that's so young. Like, I look back now, that's really young. That's 9 years ago. I had no idea what I was getting myself into. I played cricket because I enjoyed it and I was good at it. There was no kind of extra pressure on me in that sense to perform. It probably wasn't until I was kind of 16, 17 and I was the frontline spinner at Scotland that I kind of started to think maybe a bit more about performances and things like that. So probably not, because like say 14 and 12, like, that's so young. You don't really think about it much. And I think as the game moves more into professionalism and, you know, the volume of girls playing cricket in Scotland increases, that'll happen less and less as well.
And what was your entry point into cricket? Did you have somebody that you looked up to? Was it through like a family member, or do you just turn up to like an after school club and got involved that way?
Yeah, I'm from a little town called Huntly in Scotland, which just has an amazing cricket club, like it always has. It's got a really strong history with the cricket club, and the head coach there, Neil Nichol, he went round all the schools, did all the kind of, but he was such a, like, really managed to get people really involved and ran a festival, and the best people from the festival got picked to go and join the club for like a 6-week block or something like that. And there was 8 of us, me and 7 friends went along, and we just loved it. We went every week and played quick cricket. But as you can imagine, unfortunately, with women's sport, that number became 7, became 6, became 5, until I was the last one standing, you know, playing men's cricket on a Saturday. And I'd gone up through the ranks of 10 up to, you know, 14, 15, and then, like I say, got involved with the Scotland women's stuff.
I don't know if you will be able to touch on this too much, but what are some of the differences in the setups in Scotland and in England?
From what I've seen down here, that it's just the volume of girls playing cricket is massive. I think when they've got really solid infrastructures in place all around the counties, it makes a big difference. And once you've got that infrastructure in place and you've got, say, 10, 15 girls playing, I think the feeder in becomes much easier, because these girls can see girls playing cricket and they can see women playing cricket. So that whole kind of circle becomes much bigger. Whereas in Scotland, when I began playing cricket, I couldn't name you a female cricketer. You know, I could have told you about Kevin Peterson and Ian Bell, but I couldn't have told you about any female cricketers. The first female cricketer I met was when Carrie Carswell, the Scotland captain at the time, came up to Huntly, because we had such an amazing girls section. You know, she came up to kind of see what it was about and kind of aim to inspire, which she did, because I was like, wow, there's actually women that play cricket. This is amazing. It's not just a game I'm going to have to play with the boys my whole life for.
And yeah, because Carrie's now head of women's cricket for Middlesex and the MCC, isn't she? So yeah, she's gone on to really big things, I guess, as well. So it's really important to have those kind of female role models. But you're now one of those female role models, like representing Scotland and England, obviously, because I guess you still have that, like, you know, Scotland badge on you as well, don't you? Do you feel a sense of pride that you're there to show other Scotland girls what they can become?
Yeah, massively. And I think, yeah, we're, like you say, obviously, I want to represent England, but for me, I'm Scottish and I represent Scotland in that way, like you said. And yeah, like, definitely, I think Abta's another great example of somebody who's going to fly the flag. You know, she's going to be in the 100. I can't wait to see her at the end of the week as well. And yeah, exactly. She's going to be showing those girls back home that by even putting in performances within Scotland, it can get you recognised to come and play in franchise competitions. And I guess for me, yeah, that's exactly what I want to do. I want people to think there's no limit to what you can achieve. Even if you're from a small rural town in the north of Scotland, you know, you can go on to achieve what you want to achieve within the sport.
That's so powerful. Like, honestly, Abdha did say when we interviewed her that she's really looking forward to reconnecting with you and how you were inspiration for her to be able to, you know, see it to be it. And as she is a spinner herself as well, obviously she takes a lot of like fond memories of playing with you, but also seeing you to aspire to be like you. So what's it going to be like when you know, put on the orange for Birmingham Phoenix, and hopefully you'll both be playing at the same time?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it, to be honest. Like, I'm looking forward to a different challenge, different coaches, management, learning off different players and things. And ultimately, yeah, like, I'm looking forward to seeing Abta, like you say, and seeing how far she's come, I suppose, because the last time we played together, she would have been, well, I would have been she might have been like 14 or 15. So she'll have come a long way, and I've obviously come a long way. So it'll be nice to kind of catch up and see how each other's tracking.
Yeah, and I guess you've got a bit of added responsibility because you're one of the higher picked players as well. So you must have taken quite a lot of confidence from that as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think, definitely, like you say, and I'm looking forward to supporting players like Abtaha and working with her as well, and seeing how much I can kind of give to her in that sense. And yeah, like, I am really looking forward to it. I think I've dealt with the pressure of being a key player in Lightning really well so far this summer, and I'm looking forward to the pressure of the 100. And I think that's the difference in my mindset to last year, is I want to use the pressure as a positive rather than let it bring me down.
Yeah, I absolutely love that, because I guess you've been used to the bubble kind of side of things as well, because with the 100 we've seen like an announcement that it's going to be a tighter bubble to ensure that the tournament does happen. So how are you feeling ahead of that?
Yeah, I'm a bit nervous about that, to be fair. I think the strict bubbles of like last summer and things were really tricky, but I think as players and as staff, we're much more kind of clued on to how we can make that experience better. I think the excitement of a new competition, and, you know, we're still able to travel to all the grounds and things, I think it will be much better than the kind of typical 2020 COVID bubble. And yeah, you've just got to make the most of it. You've got to be, for me, I'm thinking about being grateful for being able to play in the competition, because it didn't happen last year, and, you know, they could have gone, do you know what, it's too high risk, we're going to cut it. So we're getting to play in the 100. It's super exciting to be a part of. And like I said earlier, like, a lot of people are in a lot of worse positions. So for the sake of not going to the pub or a restaurant for 6 weeks, I think I'll manage.
And also, just on the 100 and the tournament as a whole, what are you most looking forward to during your time at Birmingham Phoenix?
I think for me, I love like connecting with new people and learning as much as I can. So there's obviously 3 overseas playing that I've never met before. I don't know them. So I'm looking forward to learning off them. And a bit like Lightning in the KSL, there's always a good camaraderie around these competitions. And yeah, I'm just looking forward to the new environment and getting started, to be honest.
And are you prepared to be whacked in the nets from Shafali Verma, perhaps, or are you gonna bowl rockets at her or spin rockets at her?
I'm a bit nervous about that, to be fair. Watching the way she took Brunty apart in that last T20, I'll be avoiding her net when we're in training, I think. But in all seriousness, like, geez, like, she's 17 and she hits a clean ball. So if she can get going in the 100, then, well, I think we're the ones to watch, because she can change the game in an instant.
And just on the 100 as well, how important or how much of a game changer do you think it will be for women's cricket?
I think it's massive. I think they've really, really upped the ante, in a sense of making this competition equal in terms of what you see, the publicity, the TV, everything. So yeah, I think, Hannah, you said it earlier, you can't be what you can't see. The 100 epitomises that, because it's going to be, whether it's on Sky or BBC, people are going to tune in and they're going to see women's cricket, and they're going to see that for the next 6 weeks. I think that's massive for the women's game. It's massive. It's particularly for the women's game in this country, to get young girls involved. And I guess the important bit is not during the 100, it's after the 100. What can we do to kind of keep that momentum alive and get girls involved in cricket, get them down to their local clubs, get them doing dynamos and these initiatives that the 100 are working with. And yeah, there'll be some more talented girls picking up a bat and a ball, and hopefully this is the beginning of it going from strength to strength.
You touched on, obviously, the overseas players that will be joining you. You're really looking forward to playing with them. But who specifically do you have your eye on in terms of being able to tap into their experience or just being a good teammate with, to be honest?
Yeah, I don't know, to be honest, because I don't really know like them hugely well. I think firstly, Ben Sawyer as head coach, I'm really looking forward to working with him. He's obviously been around the Aussie women's team and the Sydney Sixers for a lot of years, so he knows the women's game inside out, and so I'm really looking forward to working with him. And I suppose someone like Erin Burns, who's been around Aussie teams, and she's that little bit older, so she has so much knowledge and experience. So I'm really looking forward to, just tapping into their kind of knowledge and getting to know them as people as well.
I have heard that you are rumoured to be favourites, so no pressure.
When we add Perry, though, because, that's a bit of a game changer.
Yeah, Perry and Divine. But
yeah,
even without them, like, it's still such a strong team.
Yeah, I think the strength is often with your depth. And people might look at teams and think, well, they've got this England player or they've got this overseas player, but actually 11 players take to the field, and quite often you need all 11 to win you need all 15, I should say, to win a competition. And when I look at Phoenix, I think the strength is in the depth in our team. We've got good overseas, don't get me wrong, we've got good England players, but we've got good domestic players as well. And I think that's where I hope we can pip some of the other teams.
And just in general on the 100, who are you looking forward to bowling at from any team, any overseas player?
That's a good question. To be honest, I've not really thought about it hugely. I love bowling at all the overseas players because it's just a challenge, isn't it? And it's that next level of challenge. So I think I am excited to. I'm trying to think. I don't even know who I want to pick, to be honest. No, I'm not going to answer the question exactly, because I do love bowling generally all overseas players. Maybe Lizelle Lee, because I like the cat and mouse of that battle. And even if you get hit for a few boundaries, it just makes it sweeter if you can get a wicket at the end of it.
How good though would it feel get your housemate Catherine Bryce out?
Yeah, that would be good. I wouldn't be allowed to give any celebrations though, or she might change the locks before I get back.
Oh dear, I really like that analogy as well, the whole cat and mouse chase. That's really nice. Hopefully you come out on top on that one. But who are you looking forward to playing against as well in terms of the teams? Like, who do you think is going to be the hardest challenge?
I think Southern Brave look really good. If I was a betting girl, I'd put a little pound on them, because I think they look quite strong. They've got good overseas, they've got good local players, they've got good England players, they've got a good coach in Charlotte Edwards. So I think they're the team to beat, obviously other than us, Birmingham Phoenix, obviously. But yeah, they look good. And London teams always do well, but we'll see. I think that is the beauty of it, being brand new teams, brand new environments, coaches, players, etc., because nobody really knows what's going to happen. It's a free-for-all, really, and we'll just have to wait and see.
You sure you don't want a last-minute switch to Trent Rockets, where the rest of the Lightning girls are mainly based?
Absolutely not. I'm pipped them to come last, so... I got in trouble for saying that last week. I told them all that they were going to come last. I am a bit jealous they've got Sal Briggs, because obviously she's a legend around this area and is somebody that I owe a lot to in terms of where I've gotten my career to so far. So I'm a bit jealous that I won't be getting to work with her this summer, but in the same breath, I love working with new coaches and I've got the opportunity to do that.
Honestly, I love the savagery, but once the 100 is over, you have to be careful because they'll be out for blood in training.
I know. I shouldn't say it too much, should I? In case if they beat us and I've been winding them up all this time, then I'll never hear the end of it.
And also going back to the regional competition as well with Lightning, you've been hitting some sixes, I've seen.
Well, I don't know if I have. I hit a couple in training. That's about it for me.
I saw it somewhere.
It's probably not true.
Yeah, but in all seriousness as well, you've been working on your batting as well, haven't you? And I guess it's so important to have that all-round ability within this regional competition, because as we've seen so far with Lightning, you've had to come into bat and it has had to go down to number 11 at times.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's not how you aim to set up a team and what you want, but at the same time, I want to showcase my skills as well and try and get myself up the order if possible.
Yeah, I like that. So we're going to see you a bit further up after the 100. You're going to be up higher in that middle order, perhaps.
We'll see. If I can get a few runs in the 100, then you never know.
Yeah, Hannah, she wants to play that Sarah Glenn type role where she, just batters the ball everywhere.
Yeah, no, definitely. And also, I just had a little throwback in my head to There's a really nice video that England did do, going to your farm and farm life and everything. So tell us a little bit more about your personal life and your home life growing up in rural Scotland, and because it's quite nice. It's a bit different, isn't it, to the normal stories, I guess.
Yeah, my parents were on a farm, and my dad and my brother are full-time on the farm. And yeah, growing up, it was like a busy household. My mum also worked full-time as a stockbroker. So between that, you know, she was transporting me to football, to cricket, to tennis. You know, I loved every sport. So yeah, I think I'm very grateful for the kind of background I've got, because my parents worked very hard and they kind of instilled that work ethic in me from a young age. And whether it was at school or within my sport and things, to kind of, you always give it your best shot and see where it'll take you. And I guess now it's really nice to go back there, because you can kind of shut off from the rest of the world almost. And I spent my lockdown there during COVID, and it didn't, even though I obviously felt like I was in lockdown, I can appreciate my lockdown experience was very different to somebody who lives in a town or a city with limited garden space. You know, I had acres of land, I had a big garden, I set up some bowling and fielding drills in the garden, I had my home gym. So yeah, it's nice to go back there and kind of remember where you came from and appreciate it in that sense.
And yeah, you just touched on the fact that you did play a wide variety of sports. How did you end up settling on cricket?
Well, I would have settled on football if I was good enough at it. Football is always my favourite sport, still is. I openly admit that. But I was playing regional football, so like North of Scotland football, and I was playing cricket for Scotland at that same time. And it got to that tricky stage of, you know, exam time at school, and, you know, was I going to have to make a choice and things? So yeah, cricket kind of just took the step forward from there. I was better at it. I could see kind of progression in it, which I couldn't really see in football. I continued to play here and there, but that was really the kind of time where, when I was kind of like 15, 16, that football kind of took the back seat, and cricket took my priorities.
Yeah, you played a bit of football at Loughborough, didn't you, with the students occasionally?
Yeah. When I was available, I used to love getting involved, yeah.
Now you've got Lightning football as well. So
Yeah,
will
I
we
saw
be
that,
playing
yeah.
for Lightning cricket and Lightning football?
Yeah, imagine. No, I don't. I think my high standard football days are over, but I think I'd love to get back involved again at some sort of recreational level, because again, you miss the kind of the changing room banter and the competitive kind of playing football because you love it rather than because it's your job, which is kind of the balance that is tricky to find in cricket sometimes.
Yeah, because I guess that was the thing for me coming to Loughborough. It was all about like playing sport, and then I lost my confidence with cricket, and then with football it was all right, but I wasn't going to go anywhere with football. And then I got into this media stuff, and you lose all of that. You don't have to, you don't have to perform or anything, but then your life becomes standing there taking photos, becoming like more sedentary. It's only now where I'm returning to the recreational side of the games and stuff and just enjoying it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's what I miss about football, I think, because obviously with cricket, there's a lot of pressure involved naturally, and I do aim to go into every session and have fun and enjoy it, but it can sometimes get lost when you think about the bigger picture of the importance of what you're doing. But if you play a bit of recreational football on a Sunday, then it is just fun and games, isn't it? And I do miss that sometimes, yeah.
Especially when it's cold winter months, not nice as it is, it's got to be fun. But you mentioned as well, obviously, this year, losing your England contract. Luckily now there is that regional platform to catch you and you can still be a professional cricketer. But how are you feeling now?
Yeah, it's been like, I will never shy away from the fact that it's been a really, really tricky period of time. I think that period when the girls went to New Zealand, that was when I probably knew then, like, oh, this is not going to go down well, because that's November, December time, or December, January, and the contracts are up in April. I'm thinking, how am I going to prove to them that I deserve a contract? Well, I'm not, is the bottom line. So that whole kind of period, we're in lockdown, it's winter, dark months, it was really hard, yeah. And I struggled my way through that and through the loss of my contracts. But again, like I mentioned, without Lightning, I don't know how I would be getting on, to be quite honest, because the girls there, the way they are and how well I get on with them, has made the last 3-4 months much more enjoyable. Obviously, I'm playing good cricket, I'm having fun, found that real balance in my life again, and I'm in a really good place now. And I think if I'd been sat here in if you'd asked me the same question in March, I would not have thought that the last 2 or 3 months would have gone how they have. So I'm really glad for that, really grateful for Lightning for giving me that kind of platform to play and to have fun. And yeah, I'm looking forward to the 100. I'm in a real good spot, I think. Yeah, it's kind of surprising how quickly things can turn around, and it shows you that it can turn around if you give it a chance and you pick yourself up.
Yeah, no, that's so good to hear that you are in a better place and you've got plenty of cricket to play and you've still got all these professional opportunities, and the added money from the 100 coming in is quite sweet as well. It's not just playing in a competition, it's a nice chunk of money as well. So there's so many different opportunities. Hopefully there'll be more global competitions that you can be a part of as well. Like, it's such an exciting time for women's cricket, but your journey is definitely not over. It's just the beginning, isn't it? So hopefully, fingers crossed, you'll get back into our England squad in the future, but you're still young, still plenty of time, and we really appreciate you talking about that as well, because it can be quite hard, I guess, and a little raw. But we're going to move on to the funner questions now and just wrap up.
Right.
So Alex, over to you.
So I always like to start with this one, and it is favourite genre of music.
I like a bit of like pop rock. So a bit of like Sam Fender, that kind of music.
That is like top quality. Favourite musician?
Ed Sheeran.
Last book you read?
I don't read books ever, so probably like my school exams, and I couldn't even, like The Lord of the Flies or something like that, probably.
Last TV show you binge watched?
I watched Marcella not long ago. I got through that in about 5 minutes.
Hannah's favourite one is favourite sledge.
Favourite sledge? I don't sledge, I just chat rubbish.
Chatting rubbish also counts.
Chatting rubbish then.
Best sledge that has been said to you? I
once got told I'm going to have a nosebleed because I'm batting that high up the batting order.
Last film you watched?
God, I don't watch many films either, to be honest. Probably at Christmas. I love a film at Christmas. Love Actually. What a film.
I'm going to let Hannah ask the tea item question because that's her favourite one in the world.
I just like food. What's your favourite tea item at a traditional, proper village cricket tea?
A scone, 100%.
Do you eat the scone plain, or do you have like cream, butter and jam, or what kind of situation?
You got to have your jam and your cream. Jam then cream.
No.
Yeah. Jam then cream.
Cream then jam.
Jam like trickles into the cream, gets ruined.
That's the whole point.
Nah. Cream on top.
You know, this is almost as bad as the debate. Is it scone? Is it scone? Is it cream before jam or jam before cream? Who knows?
Personal preference. We'll settle on that.
Best mate in the Lightning team?
Catherine Bryce.
Who has got the worst fashion taste in the team?
Nancy Harmon. She's going to kill me.
Who's got the best taste in music? Like, who's the team DJ?
Sachi and Grace like to think they're the team DJ. They like to think they've got the good music taste, but it's not my music. It's like that rave music. Awful.
Yeah, as you can tell by my face there, I'm not a fan of the rave music.
No, neither am I.
Is it silly hats and silly sunglasses?
Yeah, they love it. Bucket hats.
God, no. Bucket hats. Unless you're going to a festival or the football, it's a no for me.
They think their lives are a festival. They think that.
Oh, good Lord.
Favourite grounds they've played at?
I love Edgbaston, to be fair, so I'm looking forward to having some more home games there. And the Sir Viv Richards Stadium in Antigua.
Best place you've played, although I appreciate you may not have played a lot of matches abroad.
Probably St Lucia and Antigua, to be fair. Obviously, it's the World Cup, so it was amazing memories, but it's obviously a beautiful country as well.
Perfect. That sounds like it's a good place to wrap up. But thank you so much for chasing me up and getting this in, because we were super keen to try and we got Rob on, obviously, but I wanted to get a Lightning player on like ASAP too. And it's so good to be able to get your story out there as well. So thank you for...
No worries. Thank you for having me.
Massive thank you to Kirsty for coming on and being a guest on the podcast. We wish her all the luck in the world for the rest of the season and for her stint in the 100. And to all our listeners, if you want to keep up to date with everything we're doing, you can follow us on Twitter at WCricketChat and on Instagram at Women's Cricket Chat. And if you want to give us a like on Facebook, we are Women's Cricket Chat. And if you wanted to give our personal Twitters a follow, Hannah is at HannahT1194 and I'm at Alex Jane Pereira. This has been Women's Cricket Chat. Tune in next time.